Cosaiv includes making an intelligible symbol of any kind in any language on any surface that is flat. So let's do A, affixing letters to a surface. Can we draft you? And
yeah, affixing letters to a surface. Any manner of creating a letter on a surface is also Cosaiv, even without actually inscribing or marking the surface. Examples: affixing adhesive backed letters or decals to a paper or wall is Cosaiv because a letter or picture is thus effected upon a surface. Gluing the letters may also be tofer. Snapping the letter tiles of a deluxe Scrabble game into their fitted grooves. Note, playing Scrabble may be halachically restricted on Shabbos. 3, attaching felt letters or shapes to a Velcro backing or magnetic letters.
Let me explain what's going on. There are two issues, one of Cosaiv, and the other is the gzeira that you might come to Cosaiv. Cosaiv is only if you make something that's fixed. Merely putting letters one next to the other would not be Cosaiv. That's why he says that if you have a deluxe Scrabble game where each letter has like a little nest, and the letter is put into that square nest, and it just stays there. It's not going to move until you take it apart. That would be Cosaiv. Then he says that playing Scrabble may be forbidden on Shabbos. That sounds like even if it's not nested in a deluxe, in a regular board where it's put one next to the other. So why is that? Why did he first say that it's Cosaiv? Then he says it's Cosaiv only if it's in a deluxe. And then he says it may be Cosaiv in any case. The second one is the gzeira of Cosaiv. In other words, anything which habitually involves recording and writing, then even if you are not recording it in writing, it's forbidden midrabanon because of the likelihood that you'll forget and do what you usually do, which is record the score in writing. So after every move in Scrabble, you want to say who got how many points so that you can total it up and see who's winning. So even if you are not actually writing by putting the tiles down on the board, but it's forbidden because you may come to write the score. Let's say you play Scrabble like Boggle. Yeah, you know Boggle.
Yes, yes.
But Boggle would again be a problem. No, it wouldn't have that problem. If you don't keep score.
Boggle, you just shake and it lands.
And it lands. If you don't keep score, in other words, you don't count the numbers on the Scrabble tiles. You just put them down and try to make words.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no score.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a way of getting around it. That's an argument between poskim. Some say that since normally you do keep score and you do write down the score, then you're not allowed to play it even if you don't keep score. Others say that if you don't keep score, the double concern that you might forget and keep score and that you'll write down the score is the gzeira li gzeira, and therefore it's permissible to play without any score, just the fun of making up words out of random letters. So there are two separate isurim, Cosaiv and Exera, lest one come to Cosaiv. Okay?
Attaching felt letters or shapes to a Velcro backing or magnetic letters to a metal plate, board, are also Cosaiv. Similarly, one should not press letters, for example, chocolate letters, alphabets, etc., onto the icing of a birthday cake to form words.
Right.
Molding.
So now you're wondering, so how do all the shuls have a board where you line up the numbers of the pages for the next tefillah? So we're going to come to that.
Molding or cutting out letters and shapes. Some poskim state that the malacha of Cosaiv can occur even if the letters or symbols are not written on any surface or backing at all. For example, forming a letter by cutting it out of a sheet of paper or cardboard is also Cosaiv. The same is true if one molds food into the shape of an object or symbol. Example, one should not form a tuna fish or chopped liver salad into the shape of a fish or animal, cut vegetables into a flower or other shapes on Shabbos, or cut a watermelon, cantaloupe, etc., into a basket or boat-like shape. When forming these shapes from smaller particles, for example, tuna fish, liver, potato salad, etc., the malacha of boine may also be involved. Writing with invisible ink. Writing with a transparent liquid or substance which will darken when a second liquid or substance is applied or smeared over it is prohibited on Shabbos or Yom Tov because of Cosaiv. Causing the invisible letters to darken and appear is Cosaiv midoraisa. This interesting application of Cosaiv is actually cited by the Talmud Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi relates that in certain countries of the East, there were clever individuals who devised a method of transmitting secret messages by writing on parchment with ink that was invisible. The letters would only appear when the recipient applied a kind of unprocessed ink over it. The Yerushalmi concludes that to do so on Shabbos would be a question of Cosaiv midoraisa. It is therefore questionable whether one may use a plastic fever thermometer in which the numbers indicating the degree of fever become visible when warmed by contact with the skin. Surely that would also be about measuring.
You can't measure.
No, what do you think?
No, you
Yeah.
can't measure on.
Exactly.
Good. So Anne is asking, in any case, it would be forbidden because you're measuring, never mind the writing. So the answer is that we're dealing with someone who's sick. And for that, you would be allowed to measure, to take a temperature. But you would not be allowed to write.
Photography on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Making photographs. As a general rule, all forms of photography come under the malacha of Cosaiv. Therefore, making photographs or taking X-ray films involves the malacha of Cosaiv, in addition to other possible Shabbos transgressions, because creating an image is included under Cosaiv. This is true even if the image on the film is meaningless to the average person, as in the case of X-ray film and any film negative. The prohibition applies to the person taking the picture. Regarding the question of entering buildings that are equipped with surveillance cameras, see Mavir. Okay, that's interesting. Posing for a picture. In most cases, one may not ask a non-Jew to photograph him, because asking or allowing a non-Jew to do malacha on his behalf is generally forbidden under the restriction of Amira La'akum. However, one need not avoid being photographed by a non-Jew who is taking the picture for his own purposes. For example, tourists. Hospital x-rays. As a general rule, one must not allow a non-Jew to perform malacha on Shabbos or Yom Tov on his behalf. Therefore, one who is hospitalized on Shabbos should request that non-urgent x-rays be postponed until after Shabbos, unless the non-Jewish technicians prefer doing so earlier for their own convenience. Of course, it is permitted to allow x-rays for broken bones or other medical emergencies in which the patient's life may be in danger, and one may not attempt to postpone them.
Let's go back. If the technician has a shift that ends at 5 o'clock, and Shabbos ends at 6 o'clock, and the technician wants to take the x-ray now on Shabbos, then he's doing it not for your sake. Why is he doing it on Shabbos? It's for his own sake. He wants to go home. He doesn't want to stay around to take pictures after Shabbos. So the goy doing malacha for his own sake is okay, even though he's doing it on a yid. But the question is who he's doing it for. So if he's doing it for the yid, that's forbidden. If he's doing it for himself, it's permissible. Okay, carry on.
Writing on a computer or word processor. It is doubtful whether writing information on intercomputer could be technically included under Cosaiv, because no kind of written symbol is inscribed or created anywhere. The information is stored in silicon chips in the form of unintelligible, uninterpretable electrical impulses, not inscriptions. However, if as a result, letters appear on the screen of a computer monitor, the malacha of Cosaiv might in fact be occurring. If a printer is used, there's certainly involvement of Cosaiv. In any case, the entire question here is academic, because use of a computer on Shabbos is prohibited for other reasons as well, for example, the use of electricity. However, the question may be pertinent on Chol HaMoed, when many malachas are permitted and writing is restricted. Writing on a computer itself is permitted on Chol HaMoed. As to use of a computer printer, a Rav should be consulted. Are you saying that we can't write
modern shilas, there's no consensus. He's telling you it may be Askarov, so he doesn't have a clear-cut stak halacha.
Is writing restricted on Chol HaMoed?
Yes.
No. Give me a break.
That's exactly the point. Chachamim want to give you a break. So they
Come
said,
on, Reva.
don't do your usual business and write.
You can write what you have to, but I think it's
you can
not
write things
just
which if
rewriting.
you don't write them now, they'll be lost.
Well, yeah, but,
They won't be able to be
but just
retrieved.
from a sitting and writing a story on Chol HaMoed is not permitted.
Whatever is not necessary for Chol HaMoed or for Yom Tov, whatever is not liable to be forgotten and can be written after Yom Tov should be.
Rabbi Weinberg, what about if I do a daily diary, and with that, can't I do that in Chol HaMoed?
Rather record it verbally and then write it after Yom Tov.
Goodness me. Well, I just learned something.
I should hope you're learning all the time.
Yes, but I mean, this one has given me a clap. I always write. I write everything all the time. I can't believe it. Okay. Forming words from existing letters.
Hold
Placing
hold on. If you look at the Rebbe's letters, you'll see that many of them have at the bottom, Mipnei Kedushas Hamoyed, because of the sanctity of the Moyed, Loi Boch Void Kedushas Admur Shlita Ala Chosm. Hashem, the Rebbe didn't sign his name. So the letters there, it was dictated to the, what's it called, to the secretary, and it was sent off even, if it was necessary on Chol HaMoed. But the Rebbe wouldn't sign. In fact, the Rebbe used to object particularly to people taking pictures Chol HaMoed. Generally, the Rebbe didn't want to come out with Piskei Halacha. He said that's for Rabbonim. But it's a fact that over the years, whenever people would take pictures, and it was a nice time, Chol HaMoed Sukkos, the Arba Minim, the Rebbe staying Hallel, and going around the Hakofis of Shines. That was a great time for a Hasidic photographer. And there was great demand for the pictures. But so many times, the Rebbe would turn around and say to the photographer, for example, have you learned Chitas already? This or that, tell him to go do anything else except stand there and take pictures. Like I said, he didn't want to say, you shouldn't be taking pictures, Chol HaMoed. He didn't want to pass them. In fact, even on Shabbos, sometimes at the Shabbos Farbrengen, you'd have guys standing opposite the Rebbe, concentrating and biting their nails in concentration. And again, the Rebbe couldn't handle the sight, so he'd never tell off the person, especially if it was a yeshiva bocher. He would turn to the Rosh Yeshiva and say, maybe the Rosh Yeshivas will instruct their Talmidim as to whether it's permissible to bite nails on Shabbos.
He took diplomacy to another level, eh?
Huh?
He took diplomacy to another level.
Yeah. So on the Chol HaMoed, he'd never outright say no picture taking Chol HaMoed, but you could see that he was very displeased with it, and he would send they came to a point where the photographer knew already that the Rebbe was going to say, did you learn Chitas? So he would learn Chitas early. So if the Rebbe said to learn Chitas, he could say, yeah, I already learned Chitas. So the Rebbe would find something else. Go learn a Blood Gemara, go learn a My Mercedes, whatever. But you could see that the Rebbe wasn't happy.
Huh. Amazing.
There was one person whom the Rebbe did not tell off. And that was Levi Freidin. He was a professional photographer. This is his parnos. In fact, after Yom Tov, after Sukkot, he would stay a whole Tishrei. Most of the pictures we have of the Rebbe during Tishrei are from him. After Sukkot, he would go back home to Eretz Yisrael, and he would put on a viewing. Thousands of people came to watch him. So for him, the Rebbe didn't give a hard time. That was his umnus. That's his trade. So he needed it. So the Rebbe left him. I mean, that's in Shulchan Aruch, that's a permissible thing. But otherwise, somebody who just wanted to take pictures, no, the Rebbe gave him a hard time. But I don't see any problem with writing on a computer on Chol HaMoed, printing out what you wrote is the problem, unless it's the kind of thing that is permissible to write on Shabbos. There are certain rules about Chol HaMoed, when Malacha may be done, when it may not. They're pretty complex. The Gemara says about the halachas of Chol HaMoed that they kind of dangle and they're not grounded. In other words, there are specific cases which are also specific cases which are mutter, very few overarching principles which can guide you. So you have to learn it very well to know what's on, what's not on. And you'd be quite surprised, like you were surprised now about the writing, about what we may not do. Getting back.
Sure. Okay, can I carry on?
Yeah.
Placing lettered cards or blocks next to each other. Only the creation of or formation of a symbol or image where none existed previously is Cosaiv. For example, inscribing a symbol or drawing a diagram. However, arranging existing letters to form a word, for example, by placing cards with letters on them next to each other, is not Cosaiv. Even so, it is prohibited to attach even one letter or picture to a backing, as mentioned earlier. For example, pinning letters to the paroches, the curtain of the Aron Kodesh, is prohibited because attaching a letter to a backing is equivalent to creating the letter and therefore constitutes an act of Cosaiv. Arranging letters side by side on cards in front of the shul to apprise the congregants of the correct page number is permissible. However, the cards must not be snapped or fitted snugly into a backing. So how do they do it?
There's the metal shelf, and you slide the numbers in the right order.
Okay.
They're still loose.
Rabbi, I see in our shul they just flip it over. It's like a flip file, but a thing, and you just flip it over.
That's fine.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, lining up letters of a combination lock. A combination lock that opens by requiring a specific succession of letters or numbers on adjacent dials may be unlocked on Shabbos without concern of Cosaiv, because the letters already exist on a surface and are merely being rearranged and aligned, similar to arranging cards. What about entering the code on the shul dials, on the locks on the outside of the shul dials?
Those are even better, because you're not doing anything except pushing the letters in, the numbers in. Here he's talking about a combination lock where you have to move the number to the correct position so that it forms a string of numbers. By the way, Lubavitchers should never use 770. It's the most common code, everybody knows it. But you're moving the dial at least to put the letter in position. With the push button combination lock, you're doing even less. Everything is just as it was. It was just pushed in the right sequence.
Okay. Letter and word games. Playing a children's game that entails arranging lettered or numbered tiles in a framed board is permitted on Shabbos because this is the same as arranging loose cards or blocks next to each other. However, this is prohibited if the separate tiles combined to form a single picture, as in a puzzle, because forming the unified picture is equivalent to drawing. Similarly, one may arrange the lettered tiles of a Scrabble game to form words on the game board tiles. This is only permitted if one is not in the habit during the week of recording the score in writing. Otherwise, it would be rabbinically prohibited. However, if the board is designed with framed squares into which the tiles are fitted snugly, for example, deluxe Scrabble, snapping the numbered cards or game pieces into place is prohibited in all instances. Impressing, embossing, or sculpting letters and designs. As explained earlier, any method of producing a symbol or design on a surface is Cosaiv. This includes stamping, engraving, etching raised letters, and embossing letters or designs. Engraving a stone, carving and sculpturing a stone or a wax figure. Engraving any kind of symbol or diagram into the surface is the melacha of Cosaiv. Carving or sculpting an object or material, or molding a substance into a meaningful shape is also Cosaiv. Three-dimensional images are also halachically regarded as written characters because they represent the subject that they are meant to duplicate or characterize. Similarly, one may not cut or mold foods into letters or meaningful shapes, for example, the shape of an animal or an object. Rabbi, if you can't write on Chol HaMoed, if you do crafts like mosaicing, can you do that on Chol HaMoed?
1 second. I shut the sound off already, and it's still making noise. Okay. Sorry, repeat your question, please.
Okay, going with the thing that you can't write on Chol HaMoed, or you shouldn't unnecessarily, can you do things like mosaic? If you're making a pattern or a picture, can you mosaic on Chol HaMoed?
If it's Cosaiv, you're talking about mosaic of little pebbles or something.
Yes, with cut glass, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be permanent.
Oh,
That would be-
yes. He's got
That's no, that's definitely Cosaiv.
But it's a form of recreation. I mean, when does one do things except on Chol HaMoed? Because that's when you've got time to do things. It's art.
Why aren't you allowed to have a haircut, Chol HaMoed?
Well, that's covered
Why
lachag.
aren't you allowed to do laundry, Chol HaMoed?
Covered lachag. But this is pure fun.
No. How many ladies are there for whom a hairdo is pure fun? Pure fun. Every week, go to the hairdresser. So the point is that people will drive me crazy. What is this?
Highly in demand. Highly in
Hello?
demand.
Yes. Who's calling? Okay. Because you'll be mechaven malachtoi b'moyed. You will plan to do this malacha on Chol HaMoed. That's not what Chazal wanted. Or in the case of cutting hair, you'll figure, I will do the hair cutting on Chol HaMoed, so you'll go into Yom Tov with a kopor full of hair or nails. Or in the case of laundry, you'll go into Yom Tov with dirty clothes, figuring that on Chol HaMoed we have a lot of time, so we'll do the laundry then. So all these are what Chazal wanted to avoid doing Chol HaMoed. What do you do Chol HaMoed?
Sit and learn. Sit and learn.
Good idea. Or verbreng, or
Eat, cook. Can you cook?
It's family time.
they can
Okay.
go to any botanical garden where from people live, or any zoo, you'll see mishpoches, some of them decked out with streimels and beckishes, and they're taking their kids to the zoo. The animals know already. They're waiting for them. Okay,
Rabbi, can you swim in Chol Hamoed?
you can swim in Chol Hamoed. Yes.
Okay, Rabbi, can I ask you a question about the combination lock?
Yeah. Which one, with the dials or the push buttons?
Either. My understanding of the Scrabble and what we're saying now is that the reason that you can't play that deluxe Scrabble is because it's held securely in place. So why isn't a combination lock? I mean, it's hard to turn it. It's not going to just be, it can't just be pushed off or fallen off. So it seems like that's really a secure thing to do. Why is that not writing?
Because it's already there.
Okay. Okay, so you couldn't do something else of that kind of firmness, because that would be Cosaiv if it wasn't already there.
Did you notice that he said that the games where you move tiles around, you know, the 16 block puzzle where you have
Yes.
one empty space
Yes,
and you move them around,
yes.
you get the numbers in sequence, that's okay. You said on the bottom of 954. Why is it okay? Because they're already there.
I see, okay. But if they weren't
But
there, you couldn't put them in.
that's the same with the dials. They're already in place. You're not putting them there. You're turning them in order. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
How
I
about
didn't understand
Sudoku,
the puzzle.
Rabbi?
Okay.
Who's
How about
asking what?
Sudoku? Sudoku. Can you do Sudoku if they're not fitted into clips or
How do you
whatever?
do Sudoku without writing?
Oh, you can. You can. Yes, you
Okay.
can. You
Tell
get
me.
these boards with movable things that you can like Scrabble, like an ordinary Scrabble game.
I don't understand.
You get these.
You have
get
a lot of empty spaces.
right.
So you're free to move the tiles around.
Right.
Okay, so if it's just a number sequence, then it's fine. If it's a picture or a word, it's not fine.
But remember, with Sudoku, the whole point is to get each number in line or in the square or wherever. So,
But you're not creating a meaningful impression or image or anything. You're just doing an arithmetic chap of what's it called. I have another problem with the Sudoku, that you habitually write your attempted lineups, don't you?
you can, if it gets complicated, yes.
So
Yes.
you shouldn't be allowed to do it as a gzeira of Cosaiv, like anything which habitually involves writing. Okay.
The general Torah prohibition on sculpturing and creating certain depictions. It is worth noting that aside from the laws of Shabbos, it is generally forbidden to create a three-dimensional likeness of a human being in which facial features are detailed. This includes even sculpturing just a head and face, a bust. The halacha is even more restrictive with regard to models or replicas of any of the heavenly bodies, for example, the sun or moon. Even two-dimensional pictures of these subjects are forbidden. Therefore, even merely painting or photographing the heavenly bodies is forbidden. However, simple drawings and illustrations, such as those used in textbooks, are permitted.
In other words, anything which is not made choshev, where nobody would think that it's something that represents a deity, that's okay. But to make it in a way that is choshev is osur. This comes from a pasuk right after Matan Torah in Yisroi, the Torah says, Atem re'istem ki min hashamayim dibarti mochem, you have seen how I have spoken to you, says Hashem, from the heavens. Lo yisasun iti, don't make with me, Elohei chesef Elohei zohov lo yisasu lochem, gods of gold and gods of silver, don't make for yourself. So the word lo yisasun iti, don't make with me, I mean, the word it seems totally unnecessary. Could have said just don't make gods of silver, gods of gold. So the Gemara, who is it? It's not the Gemara. Rashi brings it from the Mechilta, that iti means those who are with me on high. Heavenly bodies. Don't make the moose, the form, the image of those heavenly bodies. And that's what we're talking about. Again, it's interesting. The Rebbe was criticized for being mekarev and giving recognition to Jacques Lipschitz, famous sculptor. And there were letters written to the Rebbe, how can you do that? He's violating an Isur D'Oraisa. And the Rebbe explained that it's also only if you depict a full human face. If you, for example, do a profile, you're missing half the face. Or even if you don't show an ear. So sculpting is not necessarily inherently osur. It depends on the way it's done. Okay, so that was what the Rebbe pointed out at the time. Tough to be a Rebbe. Huh? Everybody has criticisms. I'll finish with the story.
Oh, sorry.
I'll finish with the story.
I just want to ask.
The Rebbe Maharash, you know, was the youngest son of the Rebbe the Tzemach Tzedek. He was more than 30 years younger. Tzadik Daled, Tov Kuf Tzadik Daled, Tov Kuf Nun Daled, almost 40 years younger than his eldest brother. Huge age difference. And they were all from the same mother. In any case, so there's quite a period of time when the Rebbe Maharash was the only one who lived with his father in their home in Lubavitch. And often the Rebbe Maharash learned with his father, the Tzemach Tzedek, and discussed or brought, shilas were brought to him. So about a particular question, the Rebbe Maharash came to a certain conclusion, and he came to his father with his conclusion in writing, I think. And the Tzemach Tzedek showed him how he's wrong. The Rebbe Maharash was like crestfallen. So the Tzemach Tzedek said to him, "Was ist? Bist noch nicht kein Rebbe, möchtest noch Hatos haben. You're not yet a Rebbe, you're allowed to make a mistake. A Rebbe is not allowed to make a mistake. It's impermissible. But you're not a Rebbe yet, so you're allowed to make a mistake." So this idea, people are constantly hopping on this or that the Rebbe did. It seems to be against that. It's no good because of that. We discussed once about Tzivus Hashem, the different criticisms. So yeah, it was tough to be a Rebbe. Okay, questions. Raz, you had a question.
Please, Rabbi, the head mold for a sheitel is in the image of a face. Now, I have been told to break a piece off the nose to deface it. Is that
Okay.
necessary?
Yeah, if you have the full, all the features,
Yes,
then you should
Yes.
deface it, yeah.
thank you.
If I'm getting a couple of cups today, I'll tell you what.
No, right.
Rabbi, recently, the primary school did an exercise, or the kids were commissioned to do an exercise on the planetary layout. And I found a toy at the Educational Toy Center where you could actually take the different sizes styrofoam balls, align them the way they should be, paint them the color they should be, or create the ring around Saturn, whatever. Was that not okay? It was a school, it was an exercise about our planets.
It's on styrofoam, yeah?
Yeah. They were all provided, but you just had to color them according to their shape or their color, or their size, whatever. Was that not allowed?
I think it is because it has no chashivas at all. It's not something that is kept, and it's going to disappear as soon as the exhibition is over. The truth is that even the styrofoam shaitel head also, but okay, mihiyois toiv, if you're able to deface it somewhat, because after all, it doesn't represent you, so it won't have such a good nose or ear. But I don't see that it has to be defaced on an exhibition, which is just there for the duration of the exhibition, and it's made on a very cheap material, which is not meant to last. I don't see a problem.
There's actually a plastic one that you can get. I use it for traveling as well. It dismantles, and those are brilliant.
A plastic one. Why is that better? Does it
Because
have a
Because
face?
first of all, it's not a head.
Apart. It
Second of all, you can
comes apart in a
dismantle it.
Yes.
And it's an amazing, you know, it has multiple uses. You know, if you're going away, it's like perfect, because those heads to schlep when you're going away is an absolute nightmare. So I don't even use the heads anymore. They're lying in the bottom of a cupboard somewhere. I only use the plastic ones now.
Plastic. Will they fold up?
Yeah,
No, they interlock.
they interlock, but I'm saying
and
it's
then they form. And then
Please
you
talk
can
one
take
at
them
a
apart
time,
and then they
one
lock.
at a time, one at a
Yeah.
time. They interlock with what?
with each other.
into
They're two
You can-
pieces that click together.
I'll send a
Uh-huh.
photograph now. I'll send a photograph now.
Okay,
I'll put one on the group. You can all have a look
got it. Thank
when you
you.
finish. Okay,
I
Any other
have mine for
questions?
you.
I do have one.
Any other questions?
I asked you a question the other day, and I wanted to know if you looked at Kitov. Did you look at it?
No, but just remind me afterwards privately which page you're talking about.
Okay, it's page 313. 313,
Okay, good.
bottom of the page.
Any other questions?
Are we stopping now? Where are we up to? We are up on page 957.
956, we were about to stop at the top.
Top of 956. Okay,
Please, Rabbi, will you please excuse me for the next 2 weeks? I will be away and I will try and catch up. Thank you.
you're forgiven, but you can try to connect by Zoom.
I'm not sure if I'll have Wi-Fi where I will be, but I will try with all
Okay.
the intents and wishes.
Good.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good, go
Have
well.
a
Enjoy.
fantastic trip, Roz. Have a
you.
fantastic trip. She's going on a cruise, Rabbi, a Mediterranean cruise.
Go
Can
well.
you
Rod.
imagine a cruise ship where the passengers don't have Wi-Fi? They're
No.
gonna go
Rabbi, when-
bananas for 2 weeks
Rabbi-
without Wi-Fi.
when you're on a cruise, you don't want to learn Hilchos Shabbos, I promise you.
That's what I thought about an airplane.
No, we
That's
just
what I
hope we
thought about airplanes.
remember what we've
You know,
learned.
it was an unfortunate thing, but when I got onto a plane, I was on my way. Ich war keinem gedacht. Kein gedacht. My father's Levaya. So you know, until the funeral, you don't do any. You don't say brachas. You don't daven, but you don't learn Torah. You don't do anything basically. You have to be involved with the needs of the deceased, and that's it. But when I got on the plane, there were 15 hours when I could do nothing. I'm out of contact. So that's when I was chaptarai and all the shiurim, the chitas and the Rambam and everything, because then I'm allowed to learn. Nowadays, when there's Wi-Fi on the airplane, I wonder, you could still be in contact. You could still make arrangements. I wonder if you're allowed to learn today. So cruises, for sure, people would be impossibly bored if they didn't have access to their Wi-Fi or their games or whatever. I can just picture people sitting on a boat, looking at their screen and not talking to anybody for 2 weeks. Any other questions? Hilchos Shabbos, halacha question. Okay, have a great week.
You too,
Thank you.
Rabbi. Thank you. Lovely, lovely shiur. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for reading. Sei gesund. Bye.
Thank you, Rabbi.